Okay, so T-spine mobility and rib mobility is one thing. This is side bending, this is flexion and extension, and yeah, it all happens high up, not low down. See, like this, that's lumbar. This is all lumbar, lower back. There's no ribs there, there's no bones there, it's already bendy. So what we need to learn how to do is shift the ribs more over the pelvis and not just wiggle the pelvis. This is rib shift. You can see how when I tuck down, my pelvis remains on the same orientation, and it's just my T-spine, my ribs, my mid-upper back that is changing angle. Now, if I were to change my pelvic angle, that would look wiggly like this: posterior, anterior, and neutral. Right, so what we're trying to do is actually move from higher up the body. So if you were doing some lateral shifts like left and right, you don't want to be moving from that section there between my hands. You want to be moving, if you want to mobilize your T-spine and ribs, from higher up, which means drawing up and lifting and elongating from left hip to right shoulder, and etc. Same with side bending. We're not going to try to just flop from low down. We're going to raise up and then we're going to coil up high like a fern. Hey, see that? See the shoulders lifting and dropping? See the ribs expanding out to the sides? If you want to really get a lat stretch and feel the tissues that need to open up for this to happen, take the hands above the head. Look, you can see the lat stretching around the rib cage. If my shoulders are back and down, you can see the lat's out of the way. I'm flaring my ribs, but if I tuck the ribs back, sternum back, and I lift my arms overhead, you can see that sinew being pulled around and over the ribs. Here's an example of how rib mobility and back body expansion creates more space for the shoulder blades to have a range of motion. And then if I compress that back body by arching and locking everything together, then the shoulder blades just can't travel as far because the space is smaller. Now, if I grow the space again, watch again how there is more room for those shoulder blades to move, and imagine how much healthier it is for those tissues now. This is why being able to expand the ribs in specific directions directly helps with shoulder mobility. If you lock everything down and you tense and your lats are super hard and your rib cage is stiff, then those shoulders won't move much, because that's, like, by design, a compressed, stable shape. It's good for being tackled, good for bracing, but not fun to play with. And the playful aspect is the therapeutic aspect. You need to let things move relative to one another, into play. Because mobility is a relative thing. When something is moving, it's only moving relative to something else. And if everything moves exactly the same way together at the same rate, then there is no movement within that system. So we need to decouple and free things up.